The Best Iowa Cleaning Podcast helps business leaders by educating, entertaining, and being real in sharing our successes and failures in life and in business. Join us as we share stories about dreaming, cleaning, and serving wholeheartedly. Here is your hosts, Brandon and Ryan.
Welcome to Best Iowa Cleaning Podcast. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are so excited to have you with us. We're going to be talking about, well, the title and topic today is Living in Uncomfortable. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. But good morning. And, from today here on out, we're referring to everybody as a part of the Night Shift Nation. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, hey, let's get started. And before we get going, I just want to open up the Bible. I've got a verse in Proverbs here. So there's another verse that says, "Thy word is a lamp unto thy feet and a light into my path." And it's referring to the Bible. So whenever we do anything with Night Shift, this is our guidebook. So it'd be the same in my personal life. And
Same in mine.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, let me jump in here. So we're talking about uncomfortable, so let's just get going. So Proverbs 10, verse 4, "The lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." So just something to, marinate on today. So
Yep.
let's get started.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Ryan. In the past, we've kind of come into this thing unprepared, and we've just talked. But I love that, and you know that about me. And with podcasting, it's something that I'm always going to try to make work.
Right.
So right now, actually, we're bringing this thing back. We ran with when's the last time that we had an episode?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than a year or a year and a half ago. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was around November, I believe, right before Thanksgiving. And we went from this to a different one, decided that wasn't really the direction that we should take things. I think we put out maybe 2 videos.
Yeah.
And now we're back.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's good to just realize that any version of what we put out is going to be better than doing nothing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
continuing to try things, experiment, and just see what we think about it.
Yeah.
What others think. It's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, we were talking a little bit. Now this is true.
Yeah.
I was just browsing on my phone a little bit. I was working on payroll last night.
Yeah.
And this, to my own demise, I procrastinate things. I should have had this done Sunday, so Amber could have yesterday morning gotten it done. But instead, I was up late last night and early this morning getting it done so she could put it through. I was browsing on KCRG. I was looking at the weather. It's supposed to be, so Thursday and Friday is supposed to be 40 and 45 degrees.
What?
And we are, like today when we're filming this, it's the 14th.
Yeah.
Right? Of January,
yep.
Tuesday the 14th. So, yeah, that's crazy.
It is.
Yeah,
considering it feels like negative 15 and it is 0 degrees right now.
It is 0 degrees right now. And then they said that it was going to swing because it was going to go up to 45. And then the next couple days after, we're going to get another cold front that comes through. And it's going to be wind chills of negative like 10 to 15, I think.
Yeah.
So that's a huge swing in temperatures. So,
yeah.
If anybody is prone to get sick, let's be washing our hands and making sure that you hire a great cleaning service like Night Shift to make sure that your building's clean and sanitized. But let's dive into this. So as I was on the phone, I was looking it up, KCRG. There was the top story, and this is so funny. Have you seen Superbad? Have you seen that movie?
I actually haven't seen it.
Okay, but we saw that. Remember we saw that clip?
Yeah, I do remember that.
McLovin. So it's funny. This kid, I think out of Des Moines, he got arrested, and he was 20 years old in Iowa City. Go figure, drinking, and he got arrested for public intoxication, and then it was like. So that was a simple misdemeanor. Then he got a serious misdemeanor because they found on him a fake ID. Now listen, what makes that's not funny, okay?
Yeah, right.
We all,
I know what's coming.
Just like if you're listening in, you're a young person. We all make mistakes, but don't drink don't drink at all until you're 21, until you're of legal age, and then it's best practice to just not get drunk.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I like to be, I guess maybe it's taken 43 years to figure out that I just like to be coherent. Anyway, so the funniest part was when, because I saw the heading on there, and so I had to click on it. So it was great clickbait because it got me. And he had a fake ID that he bought on Amazon that was, it showed him from Hawaii with the name McLovin. No. And I think his birthday was like 1983 or something, which that would put him in his 40s or something like that. I just thought that was priceless. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just because I felt bad, I was like, man, I probably wouldn't have put a serious misdemeanor on there. I would have said, we're going to do too simple and come on, like you can do better than this. But I've seen the movie. It is funny. Just don't do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
well, obviously he didn't get checked, or he did may immediately alerted authorities. But come on,
I don't think so because he refused to show him ID, and then they found this extra ID in his wallet. Yeah. Anyways, I want to start off because that just killed me this morning because that whole scene of Muhammad McLovin. It's ridiculous. And I haven't seen the movie all the way through either, just full disclosure, but that part just pops up all the time, and it's like one of the funniest scenes in the world. And oh man. But anyways, totally not appropriate. Shame on me as a Christian for viewing that, but I am still human, so I make mistakes, a lot of them. But not like that. I mean, I'm McLovin it today, but I'm not McLovin. So you said something this morning. I want you to tell me the story and repeat what you said because it was hilarious. And Ryan and I was on my way to work. We got a great laugh out of it. Oh. And I got myself a free coffee.
Yep.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you might even laugh a little bit more at this, but I went through the drive-thru once already and got myself a coffee. You'll understand in a moment, but I was like, I really should go back and get Brandon a coffee. That wasn't even really the funny part.
You were right there.
So I just I gave him a call and I'm like, hey, are you at the office? Yeah, I'm in Mount Vernon already. And he didn't know I already got a coffee, but
I didn't.
But I was just like, hey, I'm gonna get you a coffee. What do you want? And I should have already known small dark coffee, but
yeah.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, if you want to, you can even use the night shift card. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll do what the Spirit leads. But yeah, I think I offered you coffee, and then you're like, I'll pay for it.
You said something about the Spirit will lead me to save some money and use the night shift card.
I said maybe the Spirit will lead me to save some money and use the night shift card.
Oh man, yeah, I just got a kick out of it. It was funny. Yeah. So, did you use the night shift card?
I did not.
Hey, well, thanks for the free coffee.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I should have totally known that you. So next time you go through the drive-thru and you bring a Scooters, I'm going to know that you went through first and you went through again.
No, because I learned my lesson this time.
Yeah, never call Brandon after you pick up a coffee. Because normally I probably wouldn't pick up until right at 9 or whatever. Oh, that's funny. So, anyways, we got some good laughs this morning, and I appreciate that because it helps start off the day really well.
Absolutely. All
right, and so diving into the topic, we have had, and this is just going to be Ryan and I talking back and forth. So
yeah,
we've had a fast start to the new year, and it has been a highlight reel. Like probably more exciting than football, honestly.
Seriously, yeah.
So we're navigating some new uncharted waters. Most of the ocean is generally unexplored. Well, we're kind of there right now. Right. We're exploring the uncharted parts of the ocean.
The depths.
Yeah. Yes. And we always, like Ryan and I, take probably an hour. And maybe that's too much to just discuss business things in the morning, but there's always things to get clarity on. And as we do this, we try to write it down and get it into systems. And I feel like there's whenever there's something new that comes in, it's like, oh well, there's a new system that we have to build and be clarify this and
work it into an existing system or something like that.
That's right. That's right. And so I'm just going to say it. We've had some trouble hiring.
Yeah.
And we're getting. It's not the amount of people that are coming through. There's probably on average 5 to 6 people a week that come into our office to do interviews.
Yeah, that's the average. We get up to 14 sometimes.
Oh, please don't tell me that. I got to do interviews today, and I'm looking forward to it. But 14, oh man! So let's all sit Indian style today, and
you know how we shot that one training video at Affordable? We were like, let's speed this up, see how much we can get away with speeding this up.
Yeah.
1.25
We'll get there.
Speed.
Yeah. You're
gonna have to talk like that today. Maybe I'll just welcome to the interview. We're going to go.
Maybe I'll just pre-film it and just not be here. just take a picture of my face and like put it right there. Here's the questions. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh man. Anyways, yeah, we actually did discuss whether or not we should do this through Zoom because we do many different interviews, not just one. And it would be nice if we could condense it and make it easier for people. But we decided, well, if you're serious about working for night shift, you're probably going to make the drive to our humble office here in Mount Vernon.
Right.
And then if you're serious about it enough, you will go to the next location that we do interviews and go through that process. And then from there, we know that at least 2 out of the 3 that you are on your way and you're relatively, at least on a loyalty and a giving wholehearted and on the core value spectrum, they're somewhat 80%.
Yeah.
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 So,
just by that, right?
Just by that.
Right.
Yeah. And then if there's some, yellow or red flags, they usually happen by the time you get to the second or third interview, because then you either see things decline or there's not clarity about something and it's not what they thought. Some people love the idea and then change their mind a lot. But anyways, once you get through the process, you start with like 6 a week. It might dwindle down to 2 or 3, usually does. Mm-hmm. And then usually, I would say our average is like 1 to 2 people a month that actually stick and go through training.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
I think that's about right.
Yeah. But there's a reason for that. We don't want, if we needed people, all 6 would be great, but I could, just if you're, living, breathing, and existing, doesn't mean you should be here serving customers.
Right. And I think there's something to be said that we do get a lot of great people who come through, but they just have a different set of values. It doesn't make it wrong. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're very far off, and it's like, no, that's right. They really need a different line of work where they're not working with people or with customers. It's just clear,
Oh, yes.
There's some jobs out there that are like that, but but yeah, it's odd to think of like a night cleaning job that you need to have really good people skills, basically, be able to interact and communicate well, and all those things are extremely important, and just all of our core values in place.
Yeah. And everybody's working as a team, so there's going to be conflict. There's going to be things that have to be discussed, and Yep, and you have to be a team player and be able to communicate, and those are hard, aren't they?
Yeah,
probably the 2 hardest things out of everything.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So as we're talking about this, though, going back to the topic of just living in uncomfortable, there's so many uncomfortable things that we're getting into day in and day out, and one of them is our hiring process, and we've had some things. Here's what I would describe it without going into too much detail, and because we're about giving wholeheartedly. We're about being loyal beyond belief. And when I mean loyal beyond belief, it's not, we're some socialist organization that you need to be loyal to us or we're firing you, to a point where we're taking advantage. The loyalty aspect comes from being married for 20 years, going on 21 years, and just showing up and being the best dad I can every day and being the best boss and leader. I hate the word boss, but being the best leader I can be every day and guiding our team in the right direction and being a good steward of God's word and learning and constantly being a student, just in general, learning every day. So having said all that, it puts us into uncomfortable situations. So we've had people come in that are clearly very aligned with, they're aligned with different things that are important and that people are championing. How do you say that? Championing. There you go.
Yeah,
but there's certain things that are very important to them. But when it comes to serving at night shift, we look for loyalty, ownership level, owning it, giving wholeheartedly, and having overflowing kindness, which means even when someone communicates with you in an unkind way, whether it's on the team or a customer, you're not lashing out. You're just saying, hey, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm all in. I'm going to continue to be kind even when it doesn't make sense to be. And that's really hard for someone that is living for themselves, or they don't know who they are, or they are they're struggling with this idea of conservative values. And as a company, if I'm following the Bible and I'm a Christian, and I'll just say it, I'm a Jesus freak.
Me too.
Because the very fact that I wake up in the morning and that I am able to take a breath and my heart is still beating, that's not because it's on me and my body is functioning because I'm allowing it to, or it's just some ghost mother nature that is making my heart pump and my body work. No, it's literally I have breath and I was created, and we were all created fearfully and wonderfully in the image of the Lord. And that's why I exist. And so everything that I have is not mine. It's God's.
Yeah.
Everything that I do, it's for God. And every conversation and how I run the business and how I lead the family, it's all because of and through and for God.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, if you have different values, you're going to really hate it here. But we've struggled with having some men and women that come in that are struggling with their own identity and not knowing really where they're at definitively, but they're definitively standing for something. We can all agree that we don't hate people that stand for something, but we can all agree that there's certain things that you need to have clarity on in order for you to come in and serve other people.
Yes.
And so it's a really tough topic. We might get some hate on here, but
yeah,
it's okay. I welcome it because we're a small business. We are going through this just like everybody else. And I want to take a minute to just say thank you to any small business owner, manager, or even if you work for a small business. What you do matters. And Ryan and I care about you. We care about what we're building here. And it's not easy.
No, it isn't.
And living life uncomfortably, you as the small business that are listening in, you get it. You understand where we're coming from.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts to add to that?
You said it well. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I just want to thank you also, because it is very challenging and very, very rewarding. And people serve for different reasons. People have businesses for different reasons, but small business, you get into it because usually you're passionate about something.
Yeah.
And what we realize is we want to do a great job serving the customer with our cleaning. Mm-hmm. But ultimately it is serving God. That's
totally
what we're looking to do. And this is our mission field, and it's what we're all about. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know what else to say beyond that right now.
It's the what if scenario. It's what if everything that we believe is actually true and we didn't tell people about it? That would make us pretty unkind.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's only one way to get into heaven, and we didn't tell people how that, point people in the direction of Jesus.
Right.
The only way to get into heaven. So, I feel a weight and responsibility and a tug on my heart to point people in the right direction.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And I think that people get hung up on this very thing. This is the dividing force in the world right now, in the United States. Yeah. Especially, I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure other parts of the world, I don't even really know what it's like outside of our borders here.
Right.
I don't truly know. Mm-hmm. I've heard things that are just shocking. How how hard it is in other countries.
Oh yeah. We have it so good here. There's no question.
We do. And I think that people do get hung up on what they can and can't do. And I myself get hung up on that out of fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
And I've been praying daily for God to just take that from me, because there's so many times in the Bible it says, fear not or do not be afraid, for I am the Lord.
Yeah.
And I'm with you.
Yep.
And
I think spiritual maturity is part of the adventure or the answer you're looking for with that.
yeah,
So just, I think what you're doing is great. Is to reaffirm what you're doing and praying daily.
yeah.
And especially concentrating on that, leaving the fear in God's hands, because he promises to not give us more than we can bear.
And I always have it in mind, it's not just for me. That would be a selfish reason to pursue God. It's trying to show the goodness of God to others, through things that I might do or say or my actions, but knowing that it is because of God that I am doing these things, and I want people to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I love that, Ryan. Thanks for sharing. And you said something important. This is last week, and when we were in the heart of this, and we're going back and forth, and it's like, because there was a couple people that shouldn't have been passed through that were passed first, and then even past the second, and I think that it all falls back on my shoulders. And as a leadership team, we need to have our hiring team understand and be on the same page. They don't have to believe what we believe,
Right.
but they have to believe that we need this type of individual that is going to be able to serve other people, that is not going to have self and selfish and so many of these identity issues. It's just not the type of person that can literally put everything aside to serve someone and be kind in any situation. So,
Right.
but anyways, yeah, it's a tough topic. If you want to comment in below and just let us know your thoughts and put any questions out there or any comments. The negative comments we will not respond to. I can promise you that. But if there's anything that you're struggling as a business owner and you're like, man, I'm in that same boat, please comment and let us know, because I know there's more out there. It's just you don't hear a lot of people talking about it, and for good reason. For good reason, and I get it. So, but we are talking about it, as it's an issue within our business right now.
Yeah.
So
we're living in the uncomfortable.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yep, we are. Yep. So speaking of uncomfortable, there was something that I just think we have to talk about it. So when you're talking loyalty, when you're talking giving wholeheartedly and kindness and owning it, sometimes we can do things and be negligent on things and still have ownership in it and say, well, I'm just owning it that I didn't do everything that I should have. And I find myself doing that too, more so with my family than here, but it's not good. If I tell Shauna, shout out to Shauna, she's wonderful. If I tell her I'm going to do something and it takes me 2 days longer to do it than I said, yeah, I'm owning it as I'm sorry that it took me longer, but I have to get better at making sure to prioritize things on a system where I can get it done when I say I'm going to do it. It's something that's one of the biggest things I'm working on this year, is just being very, very intentional, truthful, and more straightforward and to the point in a kind way.
Yeah.
So, and just, just so we don't get the lines blurred, sometimes you have to say uncomfortable, very uncomfortable things that are truthful, that might hurt someone's feelings, but you have to say it because it's not kind to not address certain situations.
Right.
It just is.
Yeah.
And we ran into a situation where we've had a wonderful team member that, and this happens, it's not just one. It happens all over the place. In fact, we're going to talk about 2 situations that we need to discuss that Ryan and I would be talking about normally, except we're filming it here. So there was both situations. We've had repeat complaints from customers. And I would say it's not I would say statistically, when we are polling our our reports and we're doing our information and we're kind of meeting about client concerns and whether or not the client's happy. Yeah. Everything's based on client happiness and hours and budget. And in the service industry, that's what it's about. So
right.
we charge a lot of money for cleaning, and we expect the team to have full ownership. And we don't push them to do that. We are hiring people that, hey, I get it. Why would you show up and give anything less than 100% and actually seek to make that customer happy and to pinpoint what their specific pain is so that it's solved day after day, week after week, month after month, year over year. And that long term is what we seek. It's not it's the old adage of, I would rather do what is it? It's 100 businesses. I would rather do one business 100 times, serve one business 100 times, than do 100 businesses one time.
Right.
That is our mindset, one at a time, and making sure that we serve them well and then move out and get another customer.
Yes.
And get everything on a system. So this is the back and forth I've been doing a lot of talking here, so I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and let you talk. But we've got one particular customer right now. Everybody, everywhere else is working, but this one, we've had numerous team members in. We've tried different things. We really haven't got it established with a true specific team member, except when Sarah was here. She was doing it consistently, and I believe she was doing a good job when she was there. So I guess I can't say that it's been forever, but lately we've had a lull. And why do you think that is? And what are some action steps that we're taking this week to solve their pain, where either we solve it or we step away and say we can't do it?
Yeah, and you mentioned Sarah, but maybe I'm not sure which location because I don't know how important that is that we.
Oh yeah. Well, it's one of our customers that you visited yesterday. It's the one that we've had just some consistency issues, and it's a once a week. If that gives you any clue, I'm not going to shout out the customer.
Nope, that's okay. Yeah. No, that's. Yeah. So we tried things differently, and a few of the things that we tried differently was starting up the location without management being present, which we have done before. That part isn't really so different.
No.
We've done that a few times now, and it's because, again, we trust our team to own it to the level that they're not just there to just scrub and clean. They really are trying to make the customer happy and do a complete job and not walk away from something partially finished.
Right.
And
because who are we hiring?
Right.
Not just a cleaner, but a supervisor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They don't have responsibility over other people, which is why they're not truly title supervisors.
They have responsibility to each other to make sure that the location is looking great. So everyone has equal ownership in it, but to your point, to their part, they need to take ownership.
Yes.
And so we don't look for just a cleaner. It's we want people that are self-starters and owners and thoroughbreds. I know that's something Dave Ramsey uses a lot, but I love it. It's so true.
It is true. Yeah.
Why else would you be in business if you can't provide a thoroughbred level of service?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to say this has been spinning around in my head a lot, but maybe we can talk this part through. But when somebody is not 5 days a week and they choose to go the 1 day a week path, because usually cost is usually what it is. That's fine if they realize that cleanliness just isn't a top priority for them. I think that would be true. But then if they're really having to go through a list of like, well, we'll do this but not this, and this but not this, do you think that we can really have great success in a location like that? Or do you foresee some continued problems where it's like, well, yeah, it's not on the list, so it's just going to build up and get super dirty? You know what I mean?
I do. That's a great question. Yes, I agree with what you said. I think that they do need to have more service. And the reasons might not be all financial. It might also be the fact that they just don't have the foot traffic that they feel it's needed for 3 to 5 days a week cleaning.
Sure.
So that could be part of it. Now on our end, it's much easier to hire someone at 2 or 3 or 5 days a week. It's easier than even hiring 6 to 7 days a week.
Yeah.
There definitely is a niche that we're in, and how we're doing our interviews, and we do meetings, and it's very specific types of people that can fit that category.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have a point. But I think where it is a once a week customer, where we're missing the boat, and where this can help, number one, establishing consistency with one person that understands the customer's pain and how to solve it, and that they can do it in the budgeted amount of time, and just establish consistency in the cleaning itself. And there might be some things that are desired on that list that we don't do, or maybe we say, here's where we're starting. This is what drives the customer crazy. That just needs to be done. And they can add to that list and say, well, it'd be nice if they could do this and this and this. And then we say, okay, we're at a limit where we don't have any more budgeted time to do those things. We have to expand the service into a different day. And part of that conversation is you kind of meet, how do I say this? We wouldn't agree to do business unless we thought that we could be the best fit in the world to solve their pain.
Right.
So that might have been our fault for partnering with that business and not realizing that, hey, this is not going to work. I really still believe it can. We just haven't found consistency with someone that can work on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the problem.
I think so too.
And once you establish consistency and that person does a great job and they're always there at this time, they're always getting everything completed in all areas. There may still be little minor complaints coming up, but those are much easier received because everything else that drives them crazy is done.
Yeah.
And so then you'll build the trust and the loyalty and all of those core values that we have that they share, because we wouldn't have partnered with them if they weren't.
Yeah, there was a good reason that
aligning
we partnered with them. Exactly.
Yeah. And so what they're asking for is not difficult to do.
No.
We just haven't been able to provide a person that is like, they're fired up and they want it. They want that location. They want to perform well and solve their pain, and they want the hours.
Right.
And so, part of it is just amping up our hiring, and in the interim, putting someone in there that's an absolute rock star.
Yeah.
That will not leave a stone unturned.
Right.
And we have some on our team, and we have to probably individually reach out this week and get them signed up, get them on the same page.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what you said is most important. The consistency part is, it makes such a big difference at each of our locations.
It does.
Because it's, I believe that any location, the first night will always be trying. That doesn't mean it won't go well, but it will always be trying because you don't have a good routine built, apart from just knowing our general routine of cleaning. If you have that really nailed down, and I believe our whole entire team does, then you can take it away anywhere, but you still have to know, there's just so many little things, aren't there?
Oh, there's a
where
ton
the
of little
closet
things.
is,
Yes.
Just, do I have all my supplies? There's all sorts of things that are factoring into if it goes smoothly or if it's a little tricky to get started.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and sometimes that does lead to not the best result at the end of the night on that first night. It just can go that way, but we do our best to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible, even if we're not on site.
Well, we always, like, you are great about following up the next day. So we had cleaning over the weekend. You were in there first thing Monday, probably 9:30, 10, and one of the management came up and kind of mentioned some things and just some repeat complaints that have been happening, and I think that they get it. They understand that it's like, well, I get it. You're going to have moments where you're trying to get things established, and no one wants to hear all these excuses. Right. But at the same point, you're there because you care and you want to make them happy. And now we're sitting down and trying to strategize how to get that done and how to have it be consistent.
Yes.
And then we still have it on a system where you're still following up, but now it's a little less frequent. They're once a week. So with once a week customers, we follow up one time a month. And so 12 times a year, you go out there and follow up, bring cookies, and, some dog treats. Yeah. And, but I'm sure for you, I mean, how did it feel living in the uncomfortable when you were in there and that happened?
Well, I think part of it is I'm always going to pray before I go into a location, just ask that God would move me, move through me.
Prayer,
yes.
number one.
Yes. It's the first thing I do, because I just trust in him that even if it doesn't go as I'm expecting, if it doesn't go super well, maybe in my mind, like this is what I want as a result, but it doesn't go that way. I know it's going that way for a reason. And I'm asking God to speak through me and to just move me to just be calm, be patient, listen.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, because I go in and sometimes I'm just like, and hey, customer, how's it going? and it's like, oh, after the fact, it's like, man, I really should have prayed about that. Maybe I shouldn't have entered today.
I know what you mean. It's never fun to be taken by surprise.
No.
And that's part of what, I pray even when I'm expecting things to go well, just that we'd have a very meaningful conversation, that it would be great.
Yeah.
Even if it is challenging, or if the customer is unhappy and I'm not aware, that has not been happening very much. Just so you know, I would let you know if it did, but typically I go in, customers are happy. But if I'm going in because of a complaint, I'm kind of gearing up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit of what to expect, but not completely. So,
Right.
Yeah, living in the uncomfortable, I'm kind of prepared for it. It's those moments when I'm not prepared that
you are preparing yourself for it by doing prayer and showing up you're still yourself, but you're definitely coming to learn about what the pain is and what we're missing.
Yeah.
And then there's certain follow-ups, and I think that's great that you have a system that you're using for yourself just in preparation.
And a part of this I learned from being in customer service for so long, talking to thousands and thousands of customers on the phone.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of humility to be able to meet them where they are. If they're upset, you know that they're upset for a reason. They're not necessarily upset with you directly.
Right.
And this is another case of that, where it's like, I might have, in their eyes, more stake in this. So they might feel like, Ryan, you're really, really responsible for this. And yes, I am. But we're all responsible for it as a team.
Yeah, that's right.
And I still come to the table with as much humility as I can, just knowing that if they're upset, I'm there to solve their pain, make them happy, and that's what I start with.
That's great. No, that's really good. All this is so valuable for anybody that is doing anything in customer service or service-based businesses in general. So, I mean, it can even be helpful for someone that's electrician or someone that works on HVAC or plumbing, because, a lot of times you get someone that's a little rough around the edges that doesn't have that customer service. And I think that it makes me feel more comfortable just having someone that understands. It's like, okay, I messed up and I left the hose attached all winter, and now I have the pipe the PEX line that cracked and it's leaking. And I don't have the capabilities of replacing it or finding where the leak is. And if that person understands, like, okay, I've been in this scenario, I'm putting myself in their shoes, and like, okay, not only is it important to get there to fix the problem, depending on what it is, like if you're out of heat in 20 below weather, that's kind of important to get there. And you're going to charge them a premium if you have to go out in emergency. I mean, you have to understand that's
going to happen.
Because the value is so much higher than, because you're cold and you have a family, so the value of what that customer or that service is providing is way higher than what you're paying.
Yeah.
And then for them to show up though and be like, hey, let's get this solved for you guys right away. In the interim, I brought in a torpedo heater or whatever, whatever the case may be. You can't put that in the house, but maybe they put it in the garage, or they bring in a temporary, and just make the family feel comfortable.
Right.
Like, you guys doing okay? Whatever the case may be. And I think that's a big part of what you do, is making the customer feel comfortable.
Right.
And you're a great listener, which is helpful. I'm not. I tend to just, it's not that I receive criticism wrong, but there is a specific type of person that's great for client happiness, and it's someone that is able to listen. And when you do that, you kind of hear what they're saying. You really hear. You're able to solve the pain the next time and moving forward. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I don't think you're a bad listener, by the way, but I understand.
Could be better. Yeah. If you talk to Amber, my wife, it's a very different story. So, yeah, but living life in the uncomfortable. I mean, we do weekly meetings. Yeah. That's uncomfortable to ask everybody to show up,
right?
And they're getting paid, but it's like, do we have to? yeah, you do. And
right.
Right. There's so many reasons why that's a good thing. But when I lead the meetings, and you help lead them too, but it feels uncomfortable for me. I don't love doing it, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
But I get a little bit of energy from sitting in the uncomfortable, and of course I pray, because I talk before I think sometimes, and that's a huge problem when you're going into the meeting and you could always say things that are not good. Now, of course, it's going to be kind and loyal and owning it and giving wholehearted, but it still might be something that's like, well, some things you should just keep in your mind, and just sew up the mouth, throw away the key, lock it up and throw away the key. So, yeah. Well, hey, that's a really good start. And is there anything else that we're missing with uncomfortable stuff? I know we didn't talk about just how the team treats each other and how you should act. That's important.
That's very important.
It's something that we probably don't focus on enough. So when we do cleaning, we break off into sections, and everyone does their own section.
Right. And
we do a lot of schools. And so some of our teams, like Lisbon and LECC, there is 8 people total within the school there. Mm-hmm. And so that's a huge team.
It is.
Now, how do you get them all aligned on the same vision and goal? And don't ask me, I have no idea. We're just doing it, No, I'm just kidding.
We've been working on it for sure.
we have been. When we started, it wasn't amazing. I was there a lot, all night, most nights, and it got a little better the next year, and then it just I think we've been there 4 years now, and this year has been by far, in the midst of construction, the best year.
Yes.
And so the only thing I can point to that is, number one, trusting in God that we are making the best possible hiring decisions, and then hiring thoroughbreds, the best people in the world. And just, we've had to do a lot of counseling and conversations and how to work out conflicts. And the biggest struggle with running a big team at a big location, if you're a if you're a cleaning company and you're getting into commercial and you're doing this stuff, I don't want to sit there and like hide all the trade secrets and all the stuff, if there was any. I'd love to know what your challenge is, and I'd love to have you on the show and just talk about it, because first of all, well done if you nail a huge contract like that. It takes a long time to build that trust and get that location nailed down, and then all the things you have to do to continue to make that work. It's not easy. No. This is not easy work for anyone. And we kind of talked about that, where it's like, if this area could just be avoided, I would love to own this thing, and it's so. But anyways, if that's you and you're in that position, the only thing I could really point to in a big location to make it work, one of the biggest struggles, I think I was getting to that, is that everyone does great in their own section, but when it comes to the big picture, the events, the games, the hallways, and because that's important. We've learned that we have to hire someone specifically to do that, in that the actual team being able to see the big picture and realize, oh, well, if this person's not there, I better make sure my hallway looks good, or grab the scrubber and clean up the gym and do this section. That's been the biggest struggle. Yeah, is everyone just nails down their own stuff, but when it comes to the big stuff, we drop the ball sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and when I say big stuff, I mean the entries, the hallway, you know, like in the past. And
Right.
now we've got Rockin' Roxanne that does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really nailed it. So I think we found a solution to that problem.
I think we have, and it's realizing that Roxanne really, really is awesome at just making sure she's got a vision for a bigger picture. I can see that with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's really what we need from everybody, and just trying to help them get there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yes, I'm responsible for this. My responsibility really doesn't stop there, even if it's not super well defined.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the most helpful things, is defining everything as clearly as we can.
Yeah.
But also just understanding that, whatever it's going to take to make the customer happy, that's what we need to focus on. And then we can try to work out the logistics from there. That's probably one of the most tedious parts of business, wouldn't it be? Because it's got budgeted hours. You're always up against the clock. Mm-hmm. Always up against the clock. Yeah. It's like, are you going to clock out at the end of your shift, or are you going to do the thing that needs to be done?
That's right.
Because it just has to be done, or else there's going to be problems. Or you hope there won't be, but there probably will be.
Yeah. The biggest thing, it's like, if you have a customer and they're like, hey, I just want the place to look good. I don't want to be embarrassed when I open up the doors.
Right.
And especially at a school, it's like, I just want the entry and the hallways to look great. And by the way, we only need to do it once a week. And that's where discernment comes in for you and I, and for anybody that is in these industries. It's like, well, you and I both know that if your reputation's on the line and you want things to be done, we need to put that in there 5 days a week. Right. Now, because like in training, you can't say, well, if it looks bad, do it, but if it doesn't look bad, don't do it. That doesn't work.
I know.
We know that. We've tried it. I have that discernment. You have that discernment, because we know what the big picture is. But a lot of the team, it's like, you really have to make things clear cut and repeatable, so that it's just something they do.
Right.
So, something they can do without having to think about it too much. Because if you have to think about it as much as we do, that would put you in this position and not a cleaner supervisor.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Anything else?
That's a lot to digest, isn't it?
It is. We nailed it. Yeah, we got it done. So, hey, if you're still with us, we've been on here for a while. First of all, thank you. It's been a long break, but I am pumped about the direction of this, and I think it can help other businesses, and we need help.
Yes, we do.
we just want to learn. We want to discuss and talk about all the great and all the horrible and all the super uncomfortable things that happen in business. And I think that's so important. So
it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and have a blessed day. Join us next week as we talk about another topic.
Wow, great job. If you made it this far, we hope you've gained some knowledge, had some fun, and kept it real. If you love Best Iowa Cleaning Podcast, drop us a 5-star review on our Google Business page and on Facebook with the links on your screen. See you next week on the Best Iowa Cleaning Podcast.